All right, so back in Blender with whatever nonsense we created. We've got our snow globe somewhere. Oh, it's underground. Nice. And some other things. Our low poly monkey head. We're not ready to win Golden Globe awards yet, but we're getting there. Go ahead and turn that on. Get rid of the panel. So really the only thing left to do that we need to look at today is the animating, which we're in right now. By default, we're in layout mode, which has got all this stuff going on. We've got a little bit of a timeline bar down here. It's kind of a catch-all. There are other, each of these tabs is just a different view. So we've got a modeling tab, which exposes a few more tools here. There's a sculpting tab, which we will get to, but none of the stuff we have can be sculpted yet because we're all super low poly. There's a tab for UV editing. Again, same scene, but now I can see what the textures are going to look like. Texture painting, shading. Cool feature, if you click shading, your computer freezes for a minute. There's one dedicated to animation, which we just get a slightly larger timeline and animation area here with a bigger dope sheet and all of that. There's one for rendering, compositing, geometry nodes, scripting, all of this stuff. Most of what we need to do, we can do in the layout mode or in the modeling mode. We will dip into the UV editing and the sculpting later on. But for now, since we've got a little bit of a timeline here at the bottom, we can do our animations right here. So the quick, easy way to do this, love that that's so large now. I'm just going to select this M&M here. And so with an object selected, I'm going to use the I key for insert. What's happening? Huh? Did they change it on me? Fantastic. I love that we're live. That's an I, right? Sure looks like it. Yeah. But it's not doing it. I press it 17, 18 times. It's not doing the thing. Well, so it's supposed to. Oh. Where's my pop-up? Okay, so usually we get a little popover. So Alt-I will delete it. Control-I inverts the selection. Shift-I is not doing it, just I. Fantastic. I guess it just keys everything. So what I was looking for is used to be when I would hit I, it would say, what do you want to keyframe? Do you want to put a keyframe on the size, the location, the rotation, all that other stuff? Now it looks like, and I was going to choose just keyframe everything, and now it just does that apparently by default. So at frame 1 here, everything about this in its current state is saved. So because I hit I and didn't realize it was working. So slide my slider here to like 30 frames, not seconds. Where are we at? We're at 30. I don't know what my frame rate is right now. I'm going to move this guy up. Move him up a little bit at frame 30. We'll move him over here. Maybe we'll rotate him a bunch. Maybe even scale him some. We're just going to make a bunch of changes. Okay, and if I hit I again, then I've got another keyframe here, and it's going to tween everything in between there. So I've got an M&M, I don't know, moving up and over and scaling and rotating just slightly. And I guess it just frames everything. All right, we'll come forward and see what else I can do with this. I'm going to go to like 60, and I'll move it again. And then I'll R on the Z by about 900. So that rotated along the Z-axis. And then I'm going to try, I wonder if this will do it. Changing the color a little bit. And then again, I'll hit I to save that as a frame. No, didn't do it. Okay, so the color didn't get keyed, but everything else did. And it moved over. So that's animation. Really simple. If we go to the animation tab, you can play with different things here, the transforms. There should be a curve editor up in here. There's a dope sheet, all that stuff. Again, this week is the only week that for homework, well, for a while, that we're requiring animation. I just need you to know that the I key is how you set frames, and then that slider at the bottom is where we set the times for those. So we can come in here, set up anything on any object at a certain time. I can come to the halfway point here, right? So let's just say between 0 and 30. It goes up and over a little bit and ends up there. I can go halfway there and give it a whole new frame. And now it's got to go from there to there and still end up back at 30. So you can just set some weird stuff up. We're just moving, we're scaling. Xander, you were changing colors on yours. Yeah? Weren't you? Some of your weird stuff you had dancing around? Oh, okay. Well, never mind then. I thought you did that in Blender. I was about to be impressed. Never mind. I take it back. The what? Animate the property. Oh, cool. Oh, okay, so there's the key for it. All right, and then we'll just say over here. There we go. So now our red color goes from blue, and then if this frame changes over to some green. Yeah, it does the whole gradient in between. So the tweening is nice. Auto key, yeah. Is this the guy? Auto keying, yeah. So now instead of having to hit A every time, I've got to change my timeline. But any move I make, any change I make, will get recorded and make it purple. Fun. I don't know why this M&M is changing colors and jumping around at us. There's no story here. It's just the simplest, dumbest thing we can do. Yeah, so that was it, the animation, and then I don't know why I don't get a popover anymore. It just decides to do that for us. That's fun. Let me just check the animation. Huh? You'd watch that in theaters? Sweet. You can just give me the money for the ticket now, and I'll just send it straight to you when it's done. Please? Okay. So we'll render it 4K for sure. 8K maybe. All right. Auto keying is on. So yeah, that move down here, some of our controls. Turn auto keying off and see what I does up in here. So T to bring my tools in. Over I. It just doesn't even do the popover anymore. Cool. I love when they change the software on me. All right. So stay in layout. It's probably the easiest. If you can experiment in other tabs. It's fine. It's still the same scene. You just get a different set of controls and windows. We need, we'll keep it short today, hopefully. We need to make a plane and a cube and a sphere and an icosphere and a cylinder and a cone and a torus, not a Ford Taurus, a donut. Monkey, text object. We did something with Metaball. Something else under the add menu. There's other things, and then the combined objects like the snow globe. Create and use at least 5 different material colors. Animate 2 different things. Make sure your project folder structure is like we did on Tuesday. And we don't need to render the entire animation, but if we can get a render of 1 frame of your scene, then we've met all the criteria and we get 100 points. And we started the semester off on a good note. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the rendering a couple more times. So T brings these tools in and out, N brings these tools in and out, but we've always got this camera key. And we talked about moving our camera, so I can either physically move the camera, or we can select things and have it frame in on those. All right, so let's just say I want to see the entire plane here. So view, align active camera to selected, and now the camera is going to see the entire plane. But it might cut off like that. So let's address that really quick. I'm glad that popped up. So camera, by default here, I've got clip start and clip end. And so right now, anything past 100 meters away from my camera, it won't render. So that's why it's cutting off. So I'm just going to change that to like 2000. If my number lock is on, it'll work even, and then we can see everything. So if your stuff clips out, select your camera, come down to the camera icon down here, and just change your ending clip out farther so it can see farther. I wish my vision was that easy to fix. Yeah. So there's that. Whatever your camera is seeing on whatever frame you happen to be on is what's going to render. So it's going to have it there. So we'll hit render and render image. We'll see it with my M&M at this weird purple state with all the lights. One last thing to look at. Why not? This is the worst scene. This is terrible. Xander would pay to see this in IMAX. I would. This is awful. But let's say it was awesome, right? Let's say it was actually worthwhile. The render that we get by default is using the Eevee renderer, which has gotten a lot of updates and love over the past few years. But for the most part, by default, it doesn't do a whole lot. But I can change this. So if I come over here in my little tab form, going up and down here to the actual camera, for rendering, I can change this to cycles. And let me just see, render, max samples 4096. So it's going to render the same view 4096 times to get just the optimal lighting and shadowing. Let's see what that looks like. Again, because our scene is basic and disgusting, it doesn't look that much different, but cycles render will take forever because we want to go over it 4,000 times for bounce lighting and shadows and everything else. But even here, we see some quality improvement in the render. So if you're okay letting your computer heat your dorm for a while, switch to cycles. Yeah, it's great. So if we happen to get any actual snowstorms, render an animation in cycles in your dorm, you're going to be fine. Good to go. So we're halfway there. This is actually going pretty fast. And it stopped at 4,080. Cool. There, we're done. All right, so we just got a much clearer picture of everything. The shadows. We've got some cool shadow fall off going on here. There's a denoise, but it adds a little bit of noise to the render, which I think makes it look better for me. It looks more realistic with a little bit of like speckles up in there. So anyway, you can do that. You can change it between cycles. Eevee Workbench is just it looks like it does in grayscale mode. So the workbench renderer is just if you want to proof something. Cycles, there's a lot of things we can change. We're going to play a lot with a different rendering, but just in case you make something amazing this week out of these building blocks and want the best picture possible to convince grandma to buy an IMAX ticket for the thing you're working on, Cycles is a thing you can do. Huh? What's up? That's right. Yeah, you've got other problems. All right, that's actually it for new stuff. So I'll stop this.